Welcome to Voices for Justice with Danielle.
Thank you for the hearts. Hello. Today I don't know if people who are joining have seen, I'm having trouble seeing this again. If people joining this have saw my other lives. Ooh, I'm going to try to use my coat to block out some of the sun. There we go. If you guys saw my other lives about Chelsea District Court. So I had to go a couple of times because I had gotten a speeding ticket on September 14th, and the information in the citation was not accurate. I think that the trooper was having a bad day that day. And then I did a FOIA request that same day. About a month later, I did a duplicate FOIA request. I also had started calling and emailing the Mass State Police. Then December 12th, I went for my first clerk magistrate hearing. They wanted to give the Mass State Police more time to respond because, 3 months wasn't enough. So they rescheduled my magistrate hearing for January 9th. I returned on January 9th, and Jim Dwyer, that's D-W-Y-E-R, he wants to make sure we get the spelling right, sided with the state trooper for the reason that, the state trooper said that you did these things, that you were speeding, and that you traveled across 3 lanes without using a turn signal and while speeding, and that I hit the curb, and I could have sworn somewhere in the wording it said something like I was driving on the sidewalk, right? Which was not true. That is psychotic driving, and I am not a psychotic driver. So, I was surprised by so the trooper was actually there today. Today I appealed to a judge, and I was very surprised by the ease, the flow of how this trooper was able to say the series of events that occurred when they were absolutely not the series of events that occurred. Thank you so much for the gifts. So I had wanted to tell you about how that went. So the good news is the judge decided that she needed to take everything into consideration and that she is going to mail her decision to both me and the state trooper. Prior to that, it seemed very much like she was going to side with the state trooper. She asked me if I had anything left to say, and I let her know that I had prepared a statement. And I believe that this statement saved me. Maybe not saved, but at least gave her reason to need to consider things more, maybe look at the different documentation, maybe look at my driving history, maybe look at the trooper citation history. I'm not sure. Good morning. Thank you all for joining. So I'm going to read to you guys right now the statement that I read to the judge. Okay? And I will tell you guys this. Before I left home this morning, I absolutely consulted with ChatGPT. And I basically just wrote in, write me a statement to read to the judge and hit on these points, okay? And ChatGPT wrote me a beautiful, beautiful statement. Okay, here we go. I am here today to appeal a speeding ticket that I firmly believe was issued in error. I respectfully request that the court consider the following points. 1. Lack of verified speed calculation. At no point was my speed calculated using a speedometer, radar, or any other objective measuring device. At that point, the judge interrupted me and told me that the state trooper was the measuring device. Okay? So I continued. The citation was issued solely based on the trooper's visual estimation, which is inherently subjective and prone to error. 2. Difficulty obtaining evidence. In an effort to prove my innocence, I attempted to obtain dashcam footage from the state trooper's vehicle only to learn that no such footage existed. I filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and only out of consideration did the Mass State Police provide me with body cam footage, which was only provided to me after 4 months and multiple appeals with the Secretary of State's office for non-response. The delay in receiving this crucial evidence forced me to appeal to the clerk magistrate twice instead of once, significantly prolonging the process and placing undue burden on me. 3. unfair determination by the clerk magistrate. At my second hearing before Clerk Magistrate Drim Dwyer, that's D-W-Y-E-R, my appeal was denied based solely on the word of the state trooper, without any independent verification of my alleged speed. The magistrate did not consider other evidence or the lack of objective speed measurements. This suggests a systemic issue where an officer's claim is automatically given more legal weight than a citizen's defense, effectively making the appeal process meaningless if law enforcement's word is always taken as absolute truth. A notion that my father, who spent several decades working for the courts, would have been outraged to hear. Given the lack of concrete evidence supporting the speeding allegation, the undue delays in obtaining crucial footage, and the one-sided nature of the prior determination, I respectfully request that this citation be dismissed in the interest of fairness and justice. Thank you for your time and consideration. So, after I read that, the judge said that she needed to take everything into consideration and that she would mail out her determination. I am really glad I brought that. No, they absolutely bet on people not fighting this hard. They bet on people putting in a FOIA request and then doing nothing when they don't respond. I didn't even know what I could do. I had to Google, and when I Googled, Secretary of State's office came up, and then that's the only way, that's the only reason I ever reached out to them. And when I did reach out to them, I just told them, like, hey, Google told me, you're the guys I should be contacting right now. And I explained the situation, and then they're like, oh, yeah, no, we oversee, like, what the state police are doing, so you can file an appeal with us. And I didn't even understand, because I was like, what do you mean an appeal? I'm not appealing anything. I just want them to respond. And then they were like, yeah, no, you'd be appealing for their non-responsiveness. And I didn't even know that was a thing. But the thing that's so crazy is you file an appeal, right? Then they have 10 business days to look into things and make a determination, okay? Hi, Paula. Thank you for joining. So they make a determination, okay? If there's holidays or whatever, it makes it a little bit longer. They make their determination, and then the state police have 10 business days to do whatever the determination is. But the Mass State Police made it like so much more complicated than it needed to be. They said they needed me to prove my identity. Like, that was stupid. So then I had to prove my identity, and then I don't even know if there is like a determined period of time they have to then respond, but essentially, like, just look at that as, oh, the clock restarts. And yeah, and then they gave the reason that they can't give me unredacted footage because she might be a terrorist. Yeah, so I might be a terrorist, so they can't give me unredacted footage. So, and I knew that there was a very high likelihood that the judge was going to just decide with the trooper, because that's just what they do. And that's why I made sure to include in there that way of thinking makes the appeal process completely meaningless. It makes it meaningless. Why? I had to pay, when I originally got the citation, I had to pay $25 to even do the appeal. And I only had, I think it was like 20 or 21 days to do it. Okay. So I did it within the required time frame. I submitted a FOIA request that same day, September 14th. They had 30 days to respond. They didn't meet the deadline. They didn't meet the deadline. And then the thing that frustrates me is they say, oh, Danielle might be a terrorist. Trooper Garfone might be a terrorist. Do you ever think of that? Why are you giving him such sensitive information to ride around in his cruiser with? Not only that, he leaves his vehicle unattended when he approaches the vehicles. So if he has this information that's so sensitive that a terrorist might find it useful, we got bigger problems to worry about than me speeding. But I was also happy that the judge said that she had to take it into consideration that she was going to mail her determination, because I'm thinking to myself too, if she decides that I am at fault and I got to pay, I can't pay this thing. I don't have enough money, you know. So it was just frustrating, because I had to keep taking off from work. And then the first two magistrate hearings that I did, sorry, I'm just going through the comments. The first two magistrate hearings I did, they had like designated state troopers to be there, to be like representative of all state troopers. And then they're there for the day. They get paid. And then I had to keep taking time off from work. And another thing that I found confusing, how much did the trooper ticket you for? It was $155. But so it was $25 for me to do the initial appeal. And then I went to the clerk magistrate. She wanted to give the troopers time to respond, so she pushed it off for another month. I went back for that clerk magistrate hearing. He found me at fault simply because the state trooper said you were speeding, therefore you were. Then I had to pay $50 to appeal to the judge. And then, yeah, I was just kind of praying I wasn't going to have to pay the $155 today, because I don't have $155. And then I was thinking to myself, okay, like what happens when a person cannot pay? Is it like you get the option of like lock up or pay? Because then I was also thinking to myself, okay, if I take the lockup option, what does that do for my future job prospects? So that was irritating. But what I found especially frustrating was when I read through state police department policy. It said that for the purpose of, oh my God, what's the word? I can't think of it now. In the interest of, oh my God, it's on the tip of my tongue. So that people don't think anything improper is happening. It's something like, begins with like I cannot think of this word. Transparency. In the interest of transparency, all state troopers will be outfitted with a body cam, and all cruisers mounted with a cruiser mounted dash cam. In 2018, there was an article that said that they were like doing this, and almost all cruisers out of the Revere barracks were outfitted with these cruiser mounted cameras. That was in 2018. Okay. In 2022, there was another article that was written, again, saying they're just about done. They're just about done. So in those three, even if we're going from the most recent one, right, 2022, in 3 years, they couldn't coordinate stuff well enough to figure out how to get those last two outfitted with cruiser mounted cameras. And then what? I'm at fault because his cruiser didn't have one. How's that my fault? But another thing, though, according to department policy, is that it says in any time a citation is issued, when there is no cruiser mounted camera in use, the citation must have an explanation as to why there was no cruiser mounted footage. And that wasn't included. Now, when I had gone in for the second clerk magistrate hearing, I mentioned that. And there was two state troopers. You could tell they had like just gotten out of the academy. One of them looked like he was 12. And they're both sitting there. You could tell they're already starting to develop that cocky, arrogant persona to them. And I said that, and one of them, I think he even had braces, I just know he looked 12, starts laughing, and then says to me, that's only when a cruiser has been assigned a dash cam. So a department policy that says, in any instances where a citation is issued and the cruiser mounted footage is not recorded, you need to give an explanation as to why. Nowhere in there does it say, except in the case where a cruiser does not have a cruiser mounted camera, because it doesn't even take that into consideration, because all cruisers are supposed to have them. Let me read some of those comments. Yeah, I know. I got my own dash camera. I just haven't put it in my car yet. And then, like, with the job that I'm still waiting for the final, like, HR approval. And I really hope I get that soon, because the next orientation date is March 3rd, and I really want to start March 3rd. But I don't know if I'd even be allowed to, like, have a dash camera, like, going, because the one I have, I think it records both, like, outside and inside the car, so I don't know if I'd even be allowed to have it, but I should probably still set it up just so that I can use it anytime I'm driving without, like, a client in the vehicle. But yeah, so I think that today went very well. I'm glad that they did not just immediately find me at fault. They are at least considering what I had to say. I'm glad Jim Dwyer wasn't there. That's D-W-Y-E-R. If you think I'm spelling it a lot, just know he spelt it 5 times in less than 2 minutes. Are there laws against dash cams? Not that I know of. Thank you, Beast and Beauty plus Charlie. I don't know if there's, like, laws against dash cams. I just know that if in different human service roles, you're not supposed to record anything, like, while working or your clients. So that's the only thing I'm taking into consideration is, like, you know, would this employer have an issue with that? I think at least for driving inside, or at least recording inside the vehicle if I had clients in here. Because one, it would be the confidentiality issue of the, you know, them receiving services. That would be one. 2, they would be minors, underage, so that could, yeah, so it's not an issue of legality, it's an issue of confidentiality and policy, I guess. But anyway, I am super glad I didn't have to try to figure out how to pay $155 today. That's just, you know, not something you want to do when you don't have money. So, because also, like, so if I could use a credit card to do it, like, that would be fine. But I don't know that you can use a credit card to do it. But also, I didn't want to have to do it, pay it, because it's, like, the principle of it. Thank you, my freckle journey. I feel the same way. I feel like, you know, from the onset of all this, my goal has been transparency and wanting to have the evidence so that everybody can see it and everybody can see exactly what transpired. In September, when I put in that initial request, they could have said to me, hey, just so you know, that cruiser did not have a cruiser mounted camera. But they didn't do that. They just didn't respond. And I have to say, when the state police actually did respond to me and they said, you know, out of courtesy, we are providing you with the body camera footage. Out of consideration? Are you freaking kidding me? There was nothing considerate on their end throughout this whole thing. Out of consideration, you're going to send that to me? You've been stringing me along for 4 months? And you think that this is a consideration? Unbelievable. And then they say that if they decide in your favor, you get reimbursed that initial $25, but not the $50 for the appeal to the judge when you disagree with the clerk magistrate. Even though the clerk magistrate, Jim Dwyer, that's D-W-Y-E-R, obviously holds a bias towards anybody who's not a state trooper. So, Jim Dwyer sucks. I hate him. Just because I'm not a state trooper. Which is concerning because in my job, right, in the job that I'm hoping to begin March 3rd, I also have an interview on Wednesday for another job that I actually really, really want. In both of those jobs, I would one of my responsibilities would be literally writing reports for the courts. Kind of giving the facts of the case, the events and how they transpire, and my or our, speaking on behalf of the departments that I would be working for, our opinion of what the court should do. So it's one of those things where it's okay, if we're gonna just side with the police 100% of the time, we're gonna say their word holds more weight than anybody else's, then you need to find out what job this everybody else has or this other person has, because if they hold a position where their recollection of events is considered in these big decisions, that needs to be taken into consideration. Because I actually almost wanted to say, if we're gonna say that my recollection isn't accurate, then we need to question whether or not I can even be in my job. The tie-dye rim, look at you all prettied up. Prettied up? What is that? What does that mean? What, because I brushed my hair today? I am wearing makeup, but you can't even tell when I wear makeup. And I can't tell if I have a filter on or one of those effects on. I look adorable. Thank you. I'm, dressed in Macy's, Last joke said that to me. It was to avoid further argument, and she decided to second. See, I had been thinking that that the reason that she was doing that was that she didn't want to decide in my favor and against the state troopers, in front of all the other people who were there. So I was really hoping that was the reason. Another thing I was thinking was, maybe she wants to look at all the different appeals. She might want to check to see if the dates and timeline I gave are accurate. She might want to look at my driving history. And in my driving history, she'll see that I received, a couple of speeding tickets 10, 15-ish years ago, but, I appealed the ones that were inaccurate. I paid the ones that were accurate. No, I didn't even think to do that, tie-dye rum. I didn't even think to do that. But also, the whole process of trying to request the footage, such a nightmare that I didn't even think about other places to request information, you know what I mean? So I didn't even think of, contacting the DMV for my driving history. Would it be the DMV or insurance? Well, it probably wouldn't be insurance because I've had different insurance companies over the years. But I didn't even think to do that. That's a great idea. Shit, I wish you joined my lives for my magistrate hearings. That would have been a great idea. But yeah, I just really hope they don't, because it really is based on principle. And I don't even know if this kind of a thing can make my insurance, my monthly insurance thing go up. Now I'm doing it just based on principle. If I don't have time to take off from work, that's fine. I'll quit my freaking job. Right? That's what I did. So, and now they do have a big board up, a big electronic board when you walk in that says you cannot record on these premises without prior approval. And I was just good job, supervisor of the court officers. Because I said to him, he's like, you can't record in here. And I was like, yes, I can. And he, and I was just unless it is posted in the public spaces. I said, I don't see shit posted in here. Then today I walk in, and right when I walk in, there's a big electronic board. It's like, explains like no recording without prior approval. And I was just like, see, when you communicate, good things can happen. Now they have it posted. Boom. And today I didn't record anything. Look at that. They don't want me recording in there. All you had to do was put up a sign, put up something saying that. Don't just walk around telling people they can't do stuff. I didn't tell you that you can't do anything. Let's just respect each other. Communicate. So when I get the determination in the mail, rest assured, I will be doing another live. But please, if anything unfair happens to you guys in the future, fight for it. Put in FOIA requests. If there's no response, Google what can you do next. I don't know if it's the same in every state. Actually, I know it's not the same in every state. In Massachusetts, anyways, they oversee the activities of the Massachusetts State Police, and when they do not respond, or when their response, when you're not happy with the response, you can appeal through the Secretary of State. And that actually, I believe, is partly also what's helping me, because I put in the FOIA request. They didn't respond for 4 months. I even had to put in duplicated FOIA requests. They didn't respond. I had to reach out to the Secretary of State's office. They still didn't. Well, eventually they did respond. But the barriers, they kept making stuff up, and oh, well, we don't know that this is the real Danielle, full name, requesting this. It might be somebody pretending to be her. So, we need her to prove who she is. All these things they come up with. They come up with these things to create barriers so that you don't have the information. But what I think happened in this case was, I think I pissed them off pretty early on in even putting in the requests. And each time I went to the court and had a clerk magistrate hearing, I cited the different activities I did, the dates, and then them saying, you know what, we're going to give another month to give the state police time to respond. Because the 3 previous months, well, they might have been busy. Too busy to respond to your request. We made Danielle do things within the time frames, the deadlines set, but we're going to let the Mass State Police pretend there's no deadlines. There's no time frames that things are due. So what legally they had 30 days to do, we're going to give them 120. So, and at the time, I had a job where I couldn't just take a day off every month. If there was holidays in that month and I took a day off, or I took 2 days off, whatever, it would bring me to the point of, I will not have time to complete the tasks that are required of me each month. And that's why my job became kind of unmanageable, and why I left, because there was so much work to do, and I had to keep taking days off for this crap, for this nonsense. And I wish I could have a job where there are no deadlines. You could just take a year to complete tasks required of you. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the live. I want to thank you all so much for joining. And when I get a response, I will absolutely be doing another live. So stay tuned and keep an eye out. If you haven't already followed me here on TikTok, please hit the follow button. And also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Voices for Justice with Danielle. All right. Have an awesome day, everyone. Bye.
Here's all the time the judge took to take things into consideration, like she said. See this? Same day. She didn't consider anything. Be sure to post your thoughts in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.